On today's episode of PDubs Arcade Loft, we're going to take a look at the official Taito elevator action quarter-size arcade cabinet from Numskull. As a secret agent, can you enter the building, collect the documents, kill all the bad guys, and escape the building? Okay, dudes, we are back, and it's important to note that I did pay for this unit out of my own pocket. That's right, big fan of elevator action. This thing actually came out a couple of months ago, but because I'm so behind on things, I finally had a chance to film this quick product review for you. And I gotta tell you, if you've been following the channel, you guys know personally I was excited about this one because elevator action is in my top 10, probably number 9, favorite arcade games to play of all time. Inside of the box, you'll have your USB to USB-C cable for charging, as well as your instruction booklet. Keep in mind, it's got dip switch settings. Sweet! This 1/4 scale wooden replica of the original elevator action arcade cabinet, Numskull didn't miss a beat here. Original Taito side panels, original Taito artwork, which, let's be honest, Taito had some pretty boring side panel artwork on their machines. Cool little plaques on the back, as well as you got your typical on-off rocker switch, USB-C port for charging, power indicator light, as well as your volume slider up and down. Overall, this baby's got a nice ass on it, but let's get to the main event, and holy smokes, is she pretty. I know some of you might not like elevator action, but I sure as hell do. One of my favorite games of all time, and seeing that they crafted this with high quality materials, original arcade ROM, I'm pretty stoked about this one. So with this being a 1/4 scale replicate, that means this is 17 inches tall, 6.5 inches wide, 8.8 inches deep, and the artwork on the marquee, the artwork on the bezel, and the artwork on the control panel looks near perfect replication of the original arcade machines that you would have seen in your arcades. And it's so well done, despite the smaller form factor, you can still clearly read everything, all the written instructions on the bezel, everything that is on the control panel, what button is what, start buttons, fire and jump buttons, as well as a 4-way joystick, real arcade, mini arcade buttons with mini switches, etc. On the kick plate, you have your Taito coin door recreation, but again, this is plastic. One thing about Numskull that I always wish is that they did the die-cast metal coin doors like their competitor New Wave Toys does. But even though it's plastic, it looks really, really good for replication, and it lights up when it's turned on. And speaking of lighting up, take a look at the bottom of the bezel here where the instructions actually light up. It looks really, really cool, and everything is still clearly legible. Even if my camera struggles to capture this cleanly for you, it looks good. You know, a lot of times I get asked this question, PDubs, these are $250 mini 1/4 scale replicates of arcade machines. Are they even playable? Do you even play on them? As I tell you guys in all my reviews for Numskull and New Wave Toys products is, in my opinion, these are mostly decorations, but when I do play them, I play them usually when I'm cleaning them and then putting them back on display. But this one right here, I've been playing a lot of. Despite the size and scale of this mini desktop arcade machine, I think that 4-way joystick that they included works great. The buttons work great, feel great, do the job, and also the sound, original arcade ROM, and the emulation all appears to be on point, and it plays and runs flawlessly. As always, we wish Numskull would add HDMI outs like their competitor New Wave Toys does, and as well as USB controller inputs. That way you could actually plug these in as a console and play them on a television. But again, that would just drive up the cost for Numskull, and they haven't been able to do it. The LCD screen itself looks beautiful. You'll notice the colors are kind of changing and flashing, the contrast and stuff. That's just my camera struggling to capture this little screen. Again, it's only, what, about 3-4 inch little mini LCD screen with a bezel over it to make it look like it's in its 4:3 aspect ratio. The game actually plays in its proper aspect ratio. So my apologies, my camera isn't up to stuff, but we're going to have plenty of gameplay for you coming up next. And despite the fact that I spent $250 of my own cash on this thing, I am very, very pleased with it. Probably because I also have the nostalgia and love factor of this particular game. It's one of my top 10 favorite arcade games to play of all time. Q*bert's number 1. This one would be number 9. Again, I need to make that video. PDubs top 10 games. And I would also love to hear your top 10 games as well. Overall, despite the fact of the high cost of this unit, I am not disappointed in my purchase at all. I freaking love this thing, and I'm having a blast playing it. I think this is a winner from Numskull. In my opinion, one of the best quarter arcade replicas that they've done so far. Definitely want to know what you guys think. I think this one's worth the investment if you're a fan of this game. If you're not a fan of this game, can't tell you, it's up to you. Either way, let me know your thoughts, feedback, reactions below. Give us a thumbs up on the way out. Thank you for subscribing, and enjoy the gameplay.